We just concluded the 111th Plenary Assembly of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines. And one of the actions we did was the election of the new officers. And Archbishop Valles and I have been re-elected as him as Vice President and I as President for a term of 2 more years. Because the bishops are full of mercy. They gave us 2 more years because we made mistakes in the past 2. So, and in addition to the election of the new officers, we also discussed issues pertaining to the church in the Philippines. For example, the K-12 program, the issue of drug use, trafficking, and the issue of the Bangsamoro Basic Law, and the issue of the tension at the West Philippine Sea. With regard to the tension at the West Philippine Sea, the action that the bishops have taken is we will have an Oratio Imperata, which is an obligatory prayer for all Catholics in all the dioceses to be prayed so that the tension may ease and justice and equality and prosperity and brotherhood may be served. With regard to the BBL, we categorically said that we are not endorsing and we are not endorsing. So we just gave the wishes and hopes of the people for peace. Because peace is not just an aspiration of Filipinos, it is an aspiration that Christ Himself gave us. With regard to the drug problem, we recognize that it is a problem, and it is not just a social problem. It calls for the involvement of community, of church, of the whole society in order to combat this menace. So with me is Archbishop Valles, the Archbishop of Davao, and Father Marvin Mejia, the CBCP Secretary General. You can ask your questions to these two, and I will listen.
Can we have the statements read? May I request the Secretary General, Father Marvin Mejia, to read the statements so that we can frame our questions much better?
Technology is not in our favor, so we are still making copies of the statements that I said we approved. So they're still reproducing the copies. Hopefully you will get them before the conference is over.
Thank you very much. So we will proceed to the question and answer portion of our press briefing. The cardinal rule is please identify yourself and go straight to the question. You may be entitled to 1 follow-up question. So let's begin. Can we have, yes, the FOCAP President, President Simon Rendin.
Hi, good afternoon. I don't know if this is on. Archbishop, we had...
Please put it on.
Oh, okay, the switch is underneath.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. We had talked about the climate desk, the climate change desk, and whether the CBCP was going to put one up. And I think you had mentioned that, I guess during the plenary session, you would decide. Did you decide whether you will or not?
A group of bishops have been assigned to draft the position paper, which we will all sign. And hopefully it will be ready for the Paris Convention, I believe in August. Is that October?
Late November.
Late November, yes. We will participate in that, and many bishops have affixed their signature to the petition.
Any follow-up?
The follow-up, so it's the, it was the signature drive that started last weekend, not this one, but the week before? Okay, thank you.
That's right.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Simone. Yes, please.
Thanks from the Archbishops and Father. You made mention of the BBL, the tension of the West Philippine Sea, but the drug trafficking, but maybe I missed whether you said something about the K-12.
Yes, we also discussed that.
And the statement is?
Well, we recognize, number one, that it is under the Supreme Court. But there are some moral, ethical issues that we bishops want to put forward. For example, the poor should not be forgotten in the decision-making process. Number two, the parents should be deeply involved in the education of their children because education is not the primary duty of the school. It is the primary duty of parents. Number three, the teachers should also be involved by the administration in coming up with policies and guidelines and action plans with regard to the implementation of the K-12. We are certainly against the contractualization of teachers, and the labor rights of our teachers must be respected. We also appeal to the government to consider increasing the subsidy that is given to teachers in private schools. And we are very grateful to the government for the pending law that will allocate subsidy to private schools in far-flung areas, in poor areas, where the grades 11 and 12 will be opened.
Questions from the floor? From our friends from the CBCP Media Beat? Yes? All right. No more questions? Archbishop,
Yay!
Archbishop, would you be able to tell us the position of the CBCP on the Bangsamoro Basic Law? Yes, Archbishop.
As Bishop Sok said, we did not take the position of favoring one or another version of the proposed BBL now discussed in the Senate and in the Congress, but we just put forward thoughts and ideas on how it should be crafted, coming from the point of view of us as religious leaders, and citing moral principles of social justice and respect for peoples and cultures that we would like to be seriously considered as they continue to craft the BBL in both houses of Senate and Congress. So in short, we are not directly favoring this or that, but we spoke our mind on moral principles that should be considered in the continuation of producing this bill.
What about the inclusivity in the discussions of peoples other than the MILF? Were you able to take consideration?
That is also mentioned in the statement that you would have a copy afterwards.
Yes, Archbishop, was it also considered that the BBL may be passed after the Aquino administration?
We did not take that because that is strictly the area of our political leaders in Congress. We just oppose moral principles that should be considered in this process.
I see. Any significant? Yes, we have a question from the floor. Please come forward to the microphone. For the record, please come.
Ria Fernandez, PTV4 po. Any statement for the elections 2016? Have you tackled about it?
No. We have no statement yet because we still have the meeting in January. And I think the meeting in January will be able to tackle that. Although we met with the chairman of the Commission on Elections and asked for his input so that we can be better guided with regard to the computerization of elections. Our main concern is that the election process be as transparent as humanly possible, Number 2, that it be efficient. And number 3, that there is total public accountability. So it must be transparent, it must be efficient, it must be accountable. So if you notice, we always stick to our ethical, moral principles because that is our duty as bishops.
Questions from the floor? Yes, please. Please come forward.
Pat.
Hello, good afternoon. Paterno S. Makel from Rappler. I'm interested to know more about the International Eucharistic Congress. Of course, it's normal for bishops around the world to meet once in a while. What makes this extra special?
The last Eucharistic Congress held in the Philippines was in 1937. And for your information, the Archbishop Emeritus of Cebu, Ricardo Cardinal Vidal, was a first communicant in that International Eucharistic Congress. So, God willing, health permitting, we hope to have him celebrate the Mass for the first communicants of the 2016 Eucharistic Congress. That's a trivia. Number 2, please take into consideration the year 2021, the 500th anniversary of the first Mass and the first baptism in the Philippines. And let us look at the International Eucharistic Congress soon to be held in Cebu as part of our preparation period for the Great Jubilee of 2021. Number 3, the popes have always looked at Asia as the continent of the third millennium. And that the Eucharistic Congress is being held in the Philippines perhaps is a message for us Filipinos that it is not right to keep our faith to ourselves after receiving it 500 years ago. It is time for us to work and to be missionaries for the rest of Asia.
Thank you. Just a follow-up question about the West Philippine Sea Oratio Imperata. I anticipate some readers asking, what does the Church have to do with the West Philippine Sea dispute? How does the CBCP want to respond to this?
If the dispute escalates and it becomes a problem of peace, how can the Church not be involved? Peace is the mission of the Church. So we do not have the means to negotiate with superpowers. We cannot represent the Philippines in the international court, but we can certainly represent the Philippines before God and ask God, who is the sure source of peace, to take care of the Philippines.
Thank you.
More questions from the floor? Yes, please.
Ako na lang po mag-a-adjust. Bishop, magandang hapon po. Church ka rin niyo po sa ABS-CBN. Na babalikan ko lang po yung relevance ng Eucharistic Congress. Meron po ba tayong inaasahan na invigoration na idudulot nun sa Catholic faith? Considering in a related article, nagkaroon po ng question why some Catholics leave and return to the faith.
Bilang Katoliko, ang tinuturo sa atin ay the Eucharist is the source and summit of Christian life. Ang Eucharistia ang pinagmumulan at ang taluktok ng buhay Kristiyano. So, if we want renewal in the Church, all renewal will come from the Lord. There can be no renewal without God. And that renewal that comes to us through the Lord always comes to us through the Eucharist. Kapag ipinagwalang bahala natin ang Eucharistia, ang lahat ng problema ng lipunan ay lumulutang din. Samantalang kapag pinabayaan natin na yung Eucharistia ang nagiging pagpapahayag ng ating pananampalataya, makikita rin natin na yung problema ng drug addiction, ng corruption, ng political tension, even nung ating hindi pagkakasundo-sundo, ay magkakaroon ng kahulugan sa Eucharistia. Kasi ang Eucharistia ay hindi lamang seremonya ng simbahan. Ang misa dapat isabuhay. At kapag isasabuhay natin talaga yung pagbibigay ni Jesus ng kanyang sarili, makikita natin na sa pamamagitan ng pagbibigayan, magkakaroon tayo ng pagpapanibago sa Pilipinas.
Follow up.
Yun pong pag-alis ng mga kapwa naming Katoliko sa simbahan ay meron po bang relasyon yun doon sa mga problema na nababanggit ninyo?
Alam mo, sabi ni Pope Francis, minsan yung umaalis na Katoliko sa simbahan ay baka kasalanan ng mga taong simbahan. At sabi niya, kasama na ang obispo, mga pari, at mga relihiyoso. Bakit? Kasi minsan, yung lingwahe ng simbahan ay masyadong intellectual, masyadong lumulutang sa ere, para bang saranggolang umalagwa na naputol na sa pinagmulan, at masyado nang mataas yung terminology yung ginagamit, kaya hindi na maintindihan. Isa yon sa mga dapat naming gawin bilang mga pari, na ang aming mga pastoral statements ay maging relevant, maging madaling intindihin, at baka kasi ang nangyayari ay namimingwit kami sa aquarium. Eh sabi ng Panginoon ay plunge into the deep. So ready to plunge into the deep and ready to use new terms, new methodologies, new approaches para mas maging madaling maintindihan yung itinuturo ng Panginoon.
That's why in this Congress in Cebu, I can say three things. There will be very inspiring speakers with relevant topics in the language, hopefully, that Archbishop Sok described. And then secondly, there will be well-prepared actual Eucharistic celebrations, hopefully very inspiring. And thirdly, we would try to listen to people who would share their faith experience coming from the Eucharist. So, parang three key dynamics sa Eucharistic Congress. Very good sharers, beautiful actual Eucharistic celebrations, but also listening to experiences of very ordinary people.
Kasi alam mo, George, minsan dun sa ating pagtatangka na yung misa ay mapalapit sa mga tao, minsan kami mga pare, ninanakawan namin yung mga tao ng sense of mystery. Yung sense of mystery ay hindi dapat mawala. Pero at the same time, yung sense of relevance with your feet on the ground ay dapat na nandun din. Sapagkat ang misa ay hindi lamang gawa-gawa ng tao. Ang misa ay pamana ni Jesucristo sa ating lahat. Kaya kailangan nating alagaan yung pamana sa atin. Pero at the same time, na inaalagaan mo yung pamana na galing sa Diyos, kailangan tulungan mo naman ang Diyos na maintindihan siya ng mga tao.
More questions from the floor? Archbishop Sok, how serious is the drug problem in the Philippines that it necessitated the CBCP to make a statement?
We are not to judge how serious it is, because that seems to be a problem for the police and for the military and for our government officials. Because we do not have the means to determine the intensity of the problem. But our being in touch with the people in the grassroots tell us that everywhere we go, we hear of people suffering from addiction, and we hear of people being convicted for being drug mules. But at the same time, we also hear of success stories. The bishops were also properly informed about Fachenda de Esperanza, which is in Cebu and in Naga. And they use purely the proclamation of the gospel in order to help people addicted to substances to recover from the addiction. So, bagamat mayroong mga problema, ay mayroon din namang mga maliliit na success stories na sana ipalakihin pa natin at paramihin natin.
Thank you very much.
It's not all problem. There are success stories and all by the grace of God.
Thank you. More questions from the floor? Well, let me ask Archbishop Sok. There was a post in social media asking about the CBCP's opinion on politicians giving away religious materials like rosaries. What does the CBCP have to say?
Groceries?
Rosaries. Rosaries. I believe nobody would complain if it had been groceries, but it is rosaries they're giving.
If you speak of separation of church and state, there should also be a distinction between what is sacred and what is secular. So if your intention is a purely secular motive, I beg of you to use secular means to pursue your secular purposes. Do not use the sacred in order to pursue your secular motives, because your abuse and misuse will boomerang on you.
Thank you very much. More questions from the floor? There being there's another one. Yes, please. Please come forward. Please identify yourself, madam, for the record.
I'm Teresa Sarojano from Associated Press. Will you be tackling issues, for example, like same-sex marriage? Will you be discussing this at the convention? Or do you see a shift in the church's stand on this?
We have finished the meeting already. The position is the same. Number one, we are all created in the image and likeness of God. We can never deviate from that teaching, that we carry in us the image of God. Number two, we carry in us the dignity as children of God. And although we have sinned, we have been saved. Kaya hindi po dapat na sabihin, sapagkat kami tao lamang. Sapagkat hindi tayo tao lamang. Tayo ay taong niligtas at minahal na ng Diyos. And that makes the story really different. So, marriage is always and will always be a union between a man and a woman. We stand by that. We cannot change that because it is from God. It was revealed to us by God, and we believe that it is divine revelation. So, kung sakaling mayroon pong tinatawag na pagsasama ng same-sex, ito ho ay gawa-gawa ng mga gobyerno at pamahalaan. Subalit ang moralidad ay mananatiling moralidad. What is right and what is wrong regardless of human legislation.
Any follow-up, Tess? Yes, please.
Was there any discussion about the Holy See's policy on abuse of minors? And did that come up during the plenary session?
There is a Pontifical Council for the Protection of Minors. But please take into consideration that the charter, the mission given by the Pope, is not just for the sexual abuse of minors. It is rather for the total protection of minors and vulnerable people. In other words, a minor is not determined just by age, but a minor is somebody who is in need, who does not have full control of himself, who does not have full disposition about right and wrong. These are minors, even if they are past 18 years old. So our Holy Father wants to make the church the first institution to be truly concerned about the protection of minors. And it is not just about sexual abuse. For example, child labor. For example, children being recruited as soldiers in war. That is abuse of minors also, that we must seriously fight, because whatever we do to the littlest ones is actually done to God.
More questions from the floor? Well, there being none, may we request Archbishop Valles for the closing statements, together with Father Marvin and Archbishop Soc.
We would like to thank you all for coming and letting us convey to you the important matters that we discussed during this recent CBCP Plenary Assembly. And we hope and trust that you would convey this to our people in the most complete and clear way. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
The hard copies of the statements are now available, but very limited in number. But we have uploaded already this at the CBCP website, so you can upload all the statements and even the Oratio Imperata,
Very good.
CBCP website. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Father Marvin.
So thank you very much. And our brother bishops gave us another 2 years to serve the church in the Philippines, I'd like to ask for your support because we look at you as partners in bringing the message of Christ to our people. And let us work together so that the dream of a better Philippines may be realized with us working together. Maraming salamat po.